So, guys, this is Bullies and Breeders, episode 34. We have Alex from Heavy Hitters out in, I believe it's New Jersey, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, he's out in New Jersey. He's been putting some heavy content on social media. I just went on his YouTube page. He got some real cool videos, some real cool videos that explain a lot of stuff. So this
Yes,
man
sir.
does have some knowledge, and I heard he from earlier talks, he does do his homework. So guys, I'm gonna
Yes, sir.
go ahead and pass the floor over to Alex. Alex, go ahead and let's uh let's start with your history.
What's going on, man? All right, you guys. So first and foremost, I want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to be able to collaborate with you and speak on this platform. Remember we spoke earlier. I was like, "Hey, listen, man, how do you want to go about this? You want to talk about me being the content creator, the dog trainer, or if you want me to get into the American Bully or as a breeder?" Because as all of you know that follow me, I'm the one who does everything for my content. I'm the one who films. I'm the one who edits. I'm the one who does all of the content. So on top of that, I also train dogs and I also breed dogs. So it just so happened to be that I wanted to do a multitude of things.
Okay.
It didn't start off like that originally. And like I told you, I'm just going to give you the backstory because nobody has got this. So people could get an understanding of why I am the way I am. You get what I'm saying? Um, Listen, I'm just going to go back to 2012. That was a very rough time in my life, all
Okay.
right? And this is going to be a lot of where it's moving going forward and why my faith is the way it is and why I always put God first in everything that I do, why I put those messages in the Bible, the scripture in my posts. Because listen, man, I want to say it was a couple months after my father had passed
Ooh.
away. I had a dream, and in this dream, I remember so vividly. It was me. I was walking off into the sunset, and I had a dog next to me, and it was a at the time it was a blue nose pit bull. And I remember after that time, because I was going through a lot with the whole grieving process. Because me and my father, we was tight, man. That was my right hand man. Everything I do is for him. So when you see everything with this content, this business, this is all to show him from down here that listen, man, I'm trying to put on for you to represent this family the right way, to take care of mom and the kids. And that was one of the most vivid dreams that I've ever had. And fast forward over the course of time, I tried getting a dog in a home. My mother, unfortunately, she did not trust me to be responsible to take care of a dog. So she said, you know what, man, you're not going to get it, right? All right, so fast forward now, we're talking years later because this happened. My father passed away when I was 20 years old,
20.
right? So, yeah. So I got a job. It was a job that I had wanted, and my bad. Let me got the motion sensor lights. My bad. So
Oh,
it's all good. So I got this job, and it allowed me to get the opportunity to work with dogs. Unfortunately, that job didn't pick me to do what it is that I wanted to do. And it was something that I always wanted to do.
what would
I
you
wanted to
do?
work with the dogs. So it was along the lines of being able to do protection work, IGP gaming, stuff like that, game dogs. Essentially what people in the community would call game dogs, high working dogs, being able to test them to the drive, being able to work with them, bring out the best of them, and become an exceptional decoy. So if for all of you that are wondering why I'm so big into training, that is why. It's a passion of mine. You know, you get what I'm saying? So unfortunately, I was told no. It sucks. Listen, man. And you know, when you start involving the political side of things, it is what it is. But deep down, I felt I was the best, right? And this happened in the year 2019, towards the end. And I was denied the job. It is what it is, man, because I'm a firm believer that when one door closes, another one opens.
Okay.
So fast forward 2020 now, my wife and I, you know, it's the pandemic. We go get our little wedding venue. Everything is cool, right? Now, pandemic hits. So everything gets delayed. Now we're put in a position where when we're talking about finances, right?
Uh-huh.
The reality is that if we were to try and have a wedding during the actual pandemic, we knew that it was going to be very difficult to be able to have a wedding and get the guaranteed minimum that they had wanted.
Okay.
So we were put in a position where we were, hey, you know what? Do we go with the wedding or do we get a home? So just by going off the finances, we made the decision to get a home. But in the process of us wanting to get a home, we knew that we wanted a dog.
Okay.
And I had told my wife, I said, listen, man, I was specifically looking for German Shepherds and Malinois. That's what I was looking for. And that I just wanted to train them. That was my thing. I wanted to train them. The way I vision it, and if you follow me from the very beginning, if you go to Ghost Content and you see the first post, it's literally me and him just running and us just working. Because like I said, that was a big passion of mine. And obviously over the course of time when I was with during this time period, my wife and I were going to shelters. We're looking to adopt. Unfortunately, we couldn't find no shepherds, couldn't find no Malinois, and we couldn't find pit bulls. So it just so happened to be, man. And like I said, I'm a firm believer in. Hey, listen, man. There's no luck, it's faith. And my wife, I kid you not, is on the Instagram feed. She goes into the search engine, and as all of you know, if you click that little explore tab, you could go anywhere. The algorithm will recommend anything. And it just so happened to be that my wife found a picture of the male that we have now, which is Ghost, as a puppy. Now, this happened in April, I want to say like March of 2020 at this time. I want to say March, April. No. This might have been back end of April. So, yes, back end of April 2020. And I just told her, I said, you know what, hon? You pick out the dog, whatever the case is. I just want to know about the parents, and we'll go from there. And over the course of time, when I started messing around with Ghost and started just dabbing into the breed just here and there, right? You know, I was blessed, man. I bought a dog off of Dan Rooney. My bad. Let me get this light back on. My bad. I ended up purchasing a dog from my man's Dan Rooney, Rooney's Bulls, and that man is phenomenal. You know, it was a blessing. That man knows a lot about what is going on with the breed. And it just so happened to be that he mentored me. And a
Okay.
lot of the information that I know is from us having these very detailed conversations. I'm talking about conversations that we're having over the course of the day. Now, this is picking up over years. And then it just so happened to be that I met some people that, you know, we've also been very passionate about the breed. And that's where it starts, right? And from there, man, listen, I'm doing what I'm doing with the dogs. And there came a point in time where, man, I kid you not, bro. I'm just hanging out with my dog and I'm looking at the Instagram feed and I'm seeing all these high quality pictures being done of these dogs. And as all of you know, that's a part of the marketing process. Everybody wants to see their dog looking good. You want to have those high quality photos. You want to have those high quality videos. So I get a camera and the camera just started with me just taking pictures of Ghost just to show him, man. Like I said, at that time, I did not know what I had. I know his father was an amazing dog. He was ABKC champion titanium tank, bred to a girl named Lucy. Lucy was a grand champion techno daughter. Now, when we're talking about right now, right, that's just the logistics, right? Imagine being new. I don't know any better. I'm just, hey, I got a nice dog. I love my dog. And I'm just doing these things. We're going everywhere. We're going to different places. We're running, man. We're having a good old time. So it never really occurred to me, hey, listen, you're going to get involved to the extent that I'm in now. And I kid you not, man, just one of those days, I just get a vision. And it's like this. And it's like, yo, what if you created? What if you did video? What if you showed his journey to becoming an ABKC champion? And that's how it started. That's how the content actually started. All right. So
And what year was this?
So this was on the back end of 2020, beginning stages of 2021.
Okay.
So that was when I was like, you know what, let me start doing video here and there. And obviously my first couple of videos, they weren't the best. A lot of hand movement. It wasn't good. I didn't know how to use lighting to my advantage. I didn't know the quality of sound. But hey, listen, man, I was just there. You got to start somewhere, right? And it just so happened to be that in the process of me filming, I found out that I kind of had a talent when it comes to having the eye for the content. So now my head, the way I'm seeing the things in my head, I don't know how to put it down in recording now, in filming. So
Okay.
now I'm teaching myself how to film. So on top of that, I'm teaching myself how to film,
Okay.
going through all these tutorials. Then I'm going through the editing process. And now I'm looking at all these editing videos. How do I make this vision come to light? Because I was seeing some really, really in-depth views of what I wanted to do for my content, but I didn't know how to put it together. So
Okay.
that was how it just slowly started to evolve into where it's at today, you know. And then
Well,
2000,
what did you apply to? Because I seen your videos today, and that
yes,
is like well, most definitely put together compared to a lot of other people. You know
I
what I mean?
appreciate it, man.
It looks like it's
I
scripted. It looks like it's most definitely edited, and then you put the captions on it, and you add your. So.
Yeah.
What did you apply? Oh, it went dark
No,
again.
you good. You good. I'm in.
All
I'm in.
right.
I'm in. I'm in. So I had a certain view for how I wanted my content to look. You know, the way I wanted to do is I always wanted to come off as very professional. And I'm going to explain to you guys a little bit about that later, why I am the way I am with how I do things, because I really take pride in how I put together my content. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So, what I really want to do is I want people to really look at my content from an educational aspect and say, hey, listen, this kid knows what he's talking about. But you got to think about it. How do I, as a content creator, you have to put it in perspective.
Okay.
How am I able to get a kid that's like maybe 10 to 18 years old that runs into my content, stay on my content? But how can I make someone who's 40 up also stay on that video?
Right.
So you see, I'm trying to attack a multitude of demographics.
Right.
So you have to start thinking outside the box as a content creator. So I was really trying to put out high quality video because this community has a lot of people that do what I do. The only way for me to really stand out is to be up on the quality.
Right.
And that's why I really made it to where when you see my content, I want you to feel like you're actually seeing a movie. I want you to get those cinematic shots and go and feel what I'm feeling. That's why the music is the way it is. That's why the editing is the way it is. And hey, listen, I'll even drop an Easter egg for all of you guys that since we're talking a little bit about the backstory. I used to DJ.
Okay.
So and I was really talented as a DJ. The only thing with me was I didn't want to get into the nightclub scene because that just wasn't my alley. So I never really took it to the level that I had the talent to take it
So
to.
what we're
So
talking
that is,
about, like house parties or
man,
radio stations?
bro, we're talking about I DJed in a couple of lounges, a couple of clubs. I was really good. I used to strive in the private event industry. So I used to
Okay.
be in weddings, sweet 16s. That's how I used to make my side money. It was a side
Okay.
business. But I knew I was a club DJ doing side business. So if you're doing a wedding and a sweet 16, that doesn't mesh with what your passions are.
I got
So I felt like it used to hold me back from being able to DJ the way that I wanted when doing these private events. But that's why the editing is the way it is. That's why I'm able to cut on the beat the way it is, because I know what I'm feeling at the time. I know what song I'm supposed to drop at this time. I know how to get the energy in the crowd up. And those are the things that when I'm putting together my content, it just so happened to be that I ended up finding out, hey, you got the eye for filming. And then, hey, you got the mind for editing. And now because of my background with DJing and understanding how beat matching works and understanding BPM, from there, it just so happened to come all the way together to where it's at now, where I'm trying to push myself to always do better. You get what I'm saying?
got
But yeah, that's how the content came together. And for me, it was more so from a professional aspect. We want this breed to really get out there in a positive light, the best way I could say it, all
okay.
right? Because the thing is, a lot of people, especially down by me, every time they see my dogs, they say, hey, that's a pit bull. No, it's an American bully. And I have to explain to them the differences. So the goal through my content is to actually help people that don't know about the breed and be able to push it forward. You know how many people love dogs? How
Oh,
many dog lovers are out there?
tons.
Billions. You know
Oh,
what I mean? Hold on, I'm good. I'm good. There's a lot of dog lovers out there. So you have to understand that I'm trying to attract them.
right.
You get what I'm saying? Because the American bully, at the end of the day, let's talk about it, right? The American bully is not it's not recognized by the AKC. It is what
Okay.
it is. The goal, right, is to how do we get our breed on that type of level where we have the consistency, we have the traits, we have the exact look that the world is looking for. And the people recognize, hey, that's an American bully, because there's differences, there's different traits that separate the
Do
two
you think?
breeds. So
I don't mean to cut you off, brother, but
it's all good.
do you think that the American bully as an image is starting to get popularized in America?
It is. I would say it is to a certain extent,
Okay.
right? Because we still have a larger portion of people that call it a jack pit bull. So they don't really know what separates the two and understanding the breeds that go behind them to give them the juice, to give those
And
those traits.
Do you get
And
that reaction from everybody as overall, or just like the older crowd?
so I would say this. This is more so like from an overall
Okay.
aspect from my experiences when bringing my dogs out. All they
Okay.
all they call them is pit bulls,
Right.
Jack pit bulls, whatever the case is. And even some of them call them American bulldogs. So there's no actual knowledge behind the breed. And the thing is, this is a relatively new breed. As far as the breed standards are, if you want to talk about the breed, in my opinion, it was going around in the 90s, but it was recognized in 2004 by Dave Wilson, all
Right.
right, when he created the ABKC, gave us a club to be able to show in, okay? So by that number alone, if you're talking about 2004, we're in 2024, you're talking about 20 years. But we'll say roughly, if you go back to the 90s, 25 plus years is what this breed's been. How long roughly it's been around? We'll say roughly. That's a guesstimation, right?
Right.
So you got to look at it from the totality aspect. American Pit Bull Terrier is well over 100 years old.
Right.
You know what I mean? A lot of these big time breeds that everyone loves, these are dogs that are very well known, that have years behind
Right.
them. And you really realize that there's years behind them when you go to a UKC show. And for those of you that show in
Right.
UKC, you'll understand what I'm talking about, because when you see those dogs in the ring, they're simply incredible. The other breeds, when we're talking about
Right.
conformation, we're talking about movement, we're talking about the traits consistent with the breed, they're simply incredible. And the difference between how the judges evaluate is literally on the handler's job. Imagine having two damn near flawless dogs, and the difference that separates them is how the handler handles that dog.
Exactly.
So
And
that's
you see a
go
lot
ahead,
more
bro.
uniformed. The dogs are, there's no big variation in the dogs. Like as you see, like even in our nationals at the ABKC or whichever registry, you will have different variations, even if they're all standards. They don't look all the same. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So
You got dogs with different juice, different genetics. The
different
thing
genetics.
is like, you know, the thing is when we look at it, right?
Right.
The standard American bully. That's the class that's controversial, right? My bad. Oh, man, I just got to
That's
get this light on.
biggest
But
class they got.
so
It's the
that's the class that's
one that.
the most controversial.
Mhm.
Why? Because you have some dogs that are extremely overdone, that got a lot of juice, that are now standards, which back then when they recognized the extreme class would probably show an extreme. And then the dogs that are standards of years ago are now dropping into the classic class. And now, when you look at some of these dogs that are showing the classic class, you have dogs with a shit ton of substance that should be in standard class now showing the classic class. So there's a lot of what's the best word I could say? A lot of discrepancy. That's the word I'm looking for between classic and standard. You get what I'm saying? But it is what it is for right now, man. The way I look at it, and as all of you know, if you follow my content, the dog that I truly love, he's simply incredible. Triple national with the words of God's Bully Sampson. He is a phenomenal dog. He is everything that embodies an American bully. And he's my personal favorite dog. And trust me, I love this breed. But when it comes to the dome, the smash muzzle, man, the headpiece, that top skull, those apple cheeks, that thick neck going into that body, man, that substance. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And his movement, man, he's just such a well put together bully.
It
And
is.
when you look at it, when we're talking about, I've listened to a lot of Dave Wilson's interviews.
Okay.
And he talks about the goal of the breed is to push the extremities without going over the edge.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like if you take his definition of it, because I'm not saying I'm agreeing or whatever the case is. If you take his definition of it, in my opinion, Grand Champion Sampson, he checks off all the boxes for me. You get what I'm saying? So that's just from me. So when you look at a dog like that you see other standards that maybe not have as much juice, they kind of look, I wouldn't say out of place, but it doesn't look like the same breed. So when you go to a UKC show, you have 4 different body types. And the thing is when you have 4 different body types, 4 different heights, where are we going with the breed? You get what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because if you look at the other classes or other breeds, they have damn near the same traits. The only thing that's separating them is height. You get what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Exactly. If that's been kind of this journey of mine that I've realized is that, you know, perfect example, right? There's a big difference between and I'm talking about dogs I've seen firsthand, right? Blue.
Okay.
Think of Blue, Grand Champion Blue, and Samson,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're both standards. They're both national winners. They're both grand champions, but there's a total difference in the look,
Yes.
in the phenotypes. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? I look at a lot of, you know, how can I say this? I look at a lot of bloodlines that have this consistent look. Like one of them is Rocco, you
Yes.
know. One of them, another one, Muscle Tone. Got to give him his credit, Muscle Tone.
Yes.
And we're talking breeding dogs behind them, and you look at this, and I'm seeing
You
that
good.
the
You can keep going.
the bully community, I'm hoping one day will be breeding and I'm talking about big time breeders. I'm talking about breeders that like to compete and whatnot. Because
Yeah.
remember, a competition is supposed to be the grade of of a breeder's production. Really,
Yes.
breeding stock, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
grading breeding stock. So, and I don't mean to elaborate, brother. This is your time, but you're
Yes.
hitting the point where I've been trying to push to these guys for a long time. That when is it the time for us to hone down the breed so we could start having a uniform look where, Alex at Heavy Hitters and Alex over here at San Andreas, there's not that big of a difference in the look of the dog down the road. So,
Yeah.
so continue. Go ahead and continue your point. But no,
All right.
I'm with you on this one.
All right. So when we're talking about the AKC, right? We're talking about how they hold their dogs to a certain standard.
Mhm.
Okay. And I'm gonna tell you this, in my opinion, the look that would be recognized by the AKC and a dog that they would push for the look that they will push for the American Bully breed is Grand Champion Hangman, Opa Lee Bullock, Black Cabin Bullies. Grand Champion Hangman won the 2023 ABKC
Mhm.
Nationals. I had the opportunity to film a video with him because it was the first time that I was actually able to see him in person. And the thing is that I had been following Hangman since he was like 7 months old. So a lot of people know me for predicting him to be the winner this year on the back end of
Mhm.
2022. And the thing was that I saw his journey from when he was 7 months, and I already saw what he could be. All right. And when I had the opportunity to see this dog in person, now I know a lot of people have had their issues with saying, hey, listen, he's a classic, and people saying that, hey, no, he's a standard. I'm going to tell you
Yeah,
this,
but
man.
how old is that dog?
He's two
See
going
what
on
I'm
three, I
saying?
believe.
He's halfway done.
So I'm going to tell you this. You can have whatever opinion it is that you have about Hangman, but there's one thing that's simply undeniable. That dog is a badass mofo. When we're talking about a walking muscle, headpiece, fluidity in the movement, when we're talking about that extension on that gait, when we're talking about moving, and when I mean by moving, I mean floating, not rough. When he's moving, that top line is perfect, clear, precise movement. You're talking about a dog that embodies all of the traits along with the conformation. It's when you see it in person, it's incredible. And what confirmed my thoughts to me as I'm recording him and I'm seeing it live was after the show, I spoke with one of the judges. I'm not going to say his name. And the judge told me that dog is incredible. It's hard to beat that dog. Because when we're talking about pushing the breed forward, you have to understand when we look at confirmation shows in general, confirmation shows are to validate
Right.
breed stock. It's to validate your program.
Mhm.
So when you start picking certain winners, you're dictating which traits you want the American Bully breed to go. So when you have the discrepancy of getting bullier
Nope.
traits, you get what I'm
Yep.
saying? And when we're talking about bullier traits, and that's common, how many people have shown their dogs and a judge has told them, hey, your dog needs bullier traits?
Right.
If you were talking about bullier traits, what they mean is thicker bone,
Mhm.
wider spread, chest drop coming
Mm-hmm.
out. They want those shoulders to be laid back. They want that
Mm-hmm.
headpiece to be big and brolic. I call it the big brolic headpiece. That's what I call it. They want those bullier traits. So when you look at the neck and you look at the shoulders, they want to see that juice.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy to see why you see someone like Bashar, Muscle Tone Bullies, or Khan, Folking Style Bullies with these dogs, because when you see them in person, those dogs are crazy. And you see those traits. You see them. But the thing is at some point, right, because now there's another side of it. When you push those extremities, you may get away from that cleaner conformation. So when you push those extremities, now you have these dogs that have all this juice, but they're stiff. They don't move well. And then when you see them moving, I call it the Nike swoosh rear. So now when you have the Nike swoosh rear in the air, they're moving, the rear is looking crazy, and now you have these dogs winning a dog with beating a dog that has good conformation and great good breed type, great conformation. So the way I look at it is,
Okay.
right, just because of my time with showing my dog Ghost, we showed in a couple champion classes. And the one thing I had noticed, and listen, I'm not going to sit here with sour grapes and say, hey, my dog should have won. I'm not
Okay.
that person. I'm not that person. But as all of you know, I evaluate my dog. So I record everything. I film content. So when I'm going through the film and I'm looking at the dogs that were placing over my dog and getting into that top 4, I'm like this, man, what is my dog missing? Because when we're talking about movement, we're talking about conformation, we're talking about breed type. Does my dog have as much breed type as the standards? No. But he has good breed type, good bone, a lot of juice, great conformation, and great movement. So I know what my dog
How
has.
old
So when
is
I'm
your dog?
going over my dog now, he's gonna be
So
4 in April. He's
he's
gonna be
full.
4.
He's
He's
fully.
fully grown.
Okay.
I haven't shown my dog since he was 2 years old. It's been a minute.
Okay.
It's been a minute.
But has there been
But
a
he's
difference?
oh man, bro, my dog now, he's a completely different dog, man. Because when I look back, you got to remember, I look back at the footage from when he was a puppy, and I look back at when he was showing. I don't even recognize him. I don't even
Okay.
recognize him. And the thing is like I know he would do well if I brought him back out, especially for an XL. Because the thing is when I see him in champion class and I look at him compared to the other classes, he looks like an XL that belongs there. He looks just like them, just taller.
You know,
And that's the
one
goal,
thing I do
right?
like about your dog, one thing I do like about him, and that's the blue, right? With the white black.
Yeah, that's the titanium tank son.
Yeah. So one thing it is, he looks like a bully. He has the
Mm-hmm.
face of a bully. The chest,
Yes.
it's of a bully.
Yes.
And
Yep.
I haven't seen the rear or whatnot, but it's true. If you're talking about Excel, that's like it's sticky in there. You know what I mean? Because it has a lot of
Yeah.
mastiff in there.
Yeah.
A lot of those
Yeah.
bloodlines do. That's why they're different bloodlines compared to if you. And I think you were the one we were talking about that when we're saying if you look at standards and you look at pockets, sometimes they'll even share the same genetics. They'll share
Yes.
somewhere somehow they have some dog, that they both share. But when you look at Excel pedigrees, they're totally different dogs.
Yeah.
Totally different.
Abs- Absolutely. So, all right. So, this is kind of when my content started gaining some traction
Okay.
because I'm newer,
Okay.
but I am saying some things that have people look at their programs and really evaluate what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying. And you're either going to get 2 responses. You're either going to agree or you're going to disagree.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I might have came across as being, I wouldn't say disrespectful, but in a way where people were disagreeing with what I was saying, and people some might have taken offense to what I was saying. And the thing was you have to look at it from an overall picture. See, I'm not a person that just thinks right now. I think in retrospect of everything.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a theory as to why things went the way it did. So we gotta go back now, all right? Because we spoke about this. So there was a dog that XLs could have built with. XL Kennels could have built with. His name was Ikiban. And if you saw my recent video called Behind the Breeding, it's a new series that I'm going to be doing. It's going to be a podcast type of content that I'm going to be putting out. And the goal of that series is to really talk about the breeder's mindset behind producing some of these iconic dogs. And if you don't have an iconic dog, if you have something that's going to push the breed forward, and it's a breeding that you're cooking up that you just completed, my goal is to get you on and get into the mindset of why is it you paired up those dogs? What is it that you knew in their pedigree to be able to make all of this pop, right?
Right.
For rewinding now, Ichiban was a Dax litterman, okay? That's his brother. And why am I talking about this, right? I need you to understand where I'm going.
Okay.
Standard class and pocket class, they built with Dax.
Yeah.
So Dax, if you look at it, if you go back into the generations, he plays a very pivotal role in those dogs that have all of that substance that you're looking now.
Yep.
If you look at Muscle Tones Magoo, before he had Kong, before he had Beanstalk, before he had Mr. Bean, he put all those dogs together to get Magoo. And his father was Dax.
Right.
So Magoo is what really transcended him into that next level thing where he's gone with his business, right?
Right.
If you look at Folking Style Bullies, Folking Styles Rocco has that blood in him.
Yeah, it does.
So you have to understand this when with understanding what I'm saying. They took the hard work of what was done to produce this dog and they built with it.
Right.
The XL class, in my opinion, we hit and this is my theory, we hit some turmoil when we started seeing some of these dogs that were getting paid big time money. So if all of you love dog content, I am sure you came across the platform of DDK9. DDK9 is big. Marlon Grennan, he owns the Hulk, these big dog that's simply incredible that he calls a pit bull, right?
Okay.
And the thing is, right, is at that time, that dog was turning heads, making a lot of money. I just know because I was a big fan of his content for years. So the thing is that when you have these type of dogs, these wild factory dogs, these heavier dogs, and that's making you a bag, in essence, you're going towards the heavier style of dog. You get what I'm saying? And there's blood.
I'm trying to imagine what kind of style of dog. Can you give me an example of a dog that we're bringing in these bags that we're talking about right now?
So we're talking about these traits, like these bigger.
No,
these
like
bigger
which
traits.
actual dogs where we're being sold for these big bags?
So
are you talking about like muscle tones?
No. So Muscle Tone Bullies sold his dogs for a bag. We understand that.
Right.
So I'm talking about with Marlon from DDK9.
Okay.
Marlon from DDK9 was offered, I want to say, like $1 million for Hulk, and Hulk had really gave him that juice. It took his whole kennel and changed that dog changed his life. And the thing is I felt like at that time people were really pushing that type of look because they wanted those traits. I forget the name of the guy because we got Ellis Bloodline that has those bigger dogs, those dogs that are crazy. And then I think it's Red Lion. Is it King Liker? Shit, I forget the name of that blood. But those two really were pushing the juice, you know what I mean, for what they had in their camp. And I knew that, and I looked at it, I'm like, this damn, man. Because the thing is you have to understand what my vision is, right? How do I produce an XL with tight that has the look consistent with standard class? So I'm looking at these pedigrees, and now I'm looking at these bigger dogs, and I'm like, this, man, you got to understand something. And this might seem controversial to people. If I use a bloodline that incorporated Mastiff at some point, right? And then I start breeding those dogs together. Well, the way the gene pool works is that you're still going to have those Mastiff traits within those genetics.
Right.
So when you start going 2 times, 3 times that dog, you're also going 2 times, 3 times those genetics. You understand? So when you think about it, if I continuously breed these dogs, I'm always going to struggle with the Mastiff traits. So when we're talking about Mastiff traits, you ever seen these dogs in the ring? They kind of have a longer muzzle, the droop, right? And you see a more of a narrow spread, and you see a long top line. You get what I'm saying? So the thing is you have to understand this. When we talk about weight and we're talking about dogs that are like 140, 170, whatever the case is. When you look at them, you have to understand that they're longer. So when a dog is longer, they're bigger, so they're going to be naturally heavier.
Yep.
The purpose of the breed is to be compact. We're looking for compact American Bullies. We're looking to be able to have the width, the base, to be able to store that juice, store that mass. So when I'm putting together these dogs and looking for a partner for my male ghost, I'm looking at it from the aspect of, if I bring in this type of bloodline with these traits, I'm always going to struggle to breed away from these traits.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is when now you start looking at the standard and you start looking at the pocket class,
Mm-hmm.
the biggest thing you notice is that these breeders bred very strategically, whether it was line breeding, whether it was inbreeding on the litter to pull the sauce and pull the juice.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm
Totally.
saying? So the thing is that I'm looking at how these breeders were breeding these dogs. And then I looked at what it took to create a dog like Dex and what it took to create a dog like Ichiban, right? And for those of you that don't know, the Ichiban blood, Antonio McClenny, I believe his name, the Potterhouse Bullies, he built using that type of blood. And he has some really, really dope XLs with that look now. So he has a dog that champion Yokozuna, who's off of Ichiban.
Okay.
Phenomenal. Now, if you look at some of the productions he's had, my man's Dan Rooney, he has a female named Matilda the gorilla. She is off of Yokozuna. I forget her mother's name. That girl is insane. You know, I know a lot of people talk about muscle tone and the juice that they have, and it's kind of controversial. But I am telling you, if you see an XL dog with crazy type that's very similar to the muscle tone traits, that girl has it. I've seen it physically in person. She's incredible. She came in one show, 130 points, got all her majors at like 18 months old. She is a different type of dog now. So the thing is that I've seen her. I've seen these genetics up front. I've seen what people that have done with that Ichiban blood. When you look at Rwandi now, going back to Dax, you look at all of these dogs that have this juice. They all built with him at some point.
I got a question about Ichiban though. Now, one
What's
thing
going on?
that made Dax was that he produced so many sons that became producers. We're talking about
Absolutely.
we brought up Magoo. I mean, we bring up Phenom,
Louis
Louis V.
V.
You know, down the line.
Lucky.
Who's that?
And Lucky's phenomenal. Lucky
Lucky,
Luciano,
right?
who's phenomenal.
Even when they crossed it with Heavy Razor's Edge, they came out with Lucky, and that became a producer.
Mm-hmm.
Was Ichiban the same? Was his productions producers?
So I could tell you because there's not many of them out there.
Okay.
You got to understand this. There's not many of them out there. The ones that I know of personally, and I could just go by what I'm seeing. Yokozuna produced, for you that don't know, I'm put him on the map right now. This dog is simply a wow factor dog, simply incredible. His name is Duce. Duce's produced by Livestrong Bullies. And that dog is off of Yoko bred to his girl Kendra. And man, that dog is 20 inches at the withers. He has a video of him wicketed. So when people tell me that bully traits can't be done on height, I've seen it. And Duce is insane in person. I want to say he's like 120 pounds. But when we're talking about dome piece, bone, spread, when we're talking about the juice, he has it. So that's one. Then I look at Matilda, fire. My man's Jelani from Torre Kennels. He used Yoko and produced some really dope dogs as well. So the thing is that blood is, I know for certain, when people that have used it, it's produced some bulls. And the thing is if you want to go further about that blood, my man's Dan Rooney from Rooney's Bulls, he took Matilda, bred her to Bubba Shrimp. Bubba Shrimp is off of Big Ballers. And I know everybody has whatever views that they have about Big Ballers for having those crazy traits. But I tell you this, my man's Torre Kennels, he owns a dog named Gogeta. I seen that dog in person. He is the real deal when we're talking about bone. 22 inches at the withers, bone, chest drop, headpiece. I want to say his head was measured at 28 inches. He's only like 15 months, 16 months, something like that. It's crazy. So the thing is that I've seen what this blood can do when you really base your program around
Look
it,
at what
which
Mike,
is very.
that was my bad.
My bad.
Look what Mike just put. He put Saki Bomb was an Ichiban's son.
Yes, he
Saki
was.
Bomb is Dooley's. I don't know if it's his sire or something.
I think I want to say it's his I think it's a grandfather. It's not directly off of Saki.
Yeah.
I want to say that's his grandfather.
But I think
And
it's
Saki
hybrid, isn't it?
And I believe it is. I got to go back and look at Dooley's ped, but both owned by Fred Duran.
Right.
And Fred Duran's, y'all already know what it is about Fred Duran. Fred Duran's a really good dude, man. He helped me out a lot.
Nice.
He really did. He helped me out a lot, starting off. Like I said, man, I've been blessed enough to really conversate with people that have really helped me, and without them, I'm not where I'm at today. So, going back to what I was saying before, right? The thing is that I understand the journey, and I understand that I've been blessed with certain people, but that have given me this knowledge, that have helped me out. But the thing is, right, and you have to understand how I'm looking at it, right? If I don't do my due diligence and understand what it took to be able to create these dogs, how do I move forward within my program?
Right.
All right? How do I move forward as a breeder in my program?
How do I use?
You got to look at it from that lens. Because what am I doing? Am I breeding for color? That's a common thing, breeding for color. Chocolate tries, lilac tries, merles, and all this other stuff. That's cool, but there's more that goes into that. Think about genetics. Okay, so how do I pull this bone? How do I pull the consistency? And I've said it in my video behind the breeding. How do we pair up these dogs strategically to be able to replicate this formula to where we have not just one or two pups that had the source you were looking for? How do I pull a whole litter that has the traits that we all desire? And when I'm trying to pair up a program, I say, you know what, man? How do I play this smart? So I knew based off my dog's pedigree, right? Because we'll elaborate on this. My dog, like I said, is ABKC champion Titanium Tank, bred to Lucy, who was a grand champion Techno daughter. Okay. And the thing is that I knew with how he is, that litter, I want to say there was 9. I want to say 1 passed away and there was 8 that survived. So it was 2 males and it was 6 females, if I recall properly. Okay. And there were more dogs. I want to say there was like 3 or 4 that got the traits that were desired, but there were 2 that really stood out. Ghost and his sister Layla, they were those 2 dogs in that litter. And I saw what it did. And I also understood the dogs that were behind them. But I also looked at Titanium Tank's productions. So the thing is I look at the dogs and I said, well, what did their father do? What did they throw? And as all of you know, Titanium Tank's sons, crazy. You look at Chronic, phenomenal. He's my favorite Titanium Tank son. But then also look at his females. He's produced some badass females. If you don't know Sin City Bullies, Kazan, he started with Destiny. That's where his program really evolved, a Titanium Tank daughter. And that's why now you have these iconic dogs like Bellagio, the Boulder Station, and these dogs that are incredible. So I knew that I needed something off of that blood, specifically because I knew when I brought that back to Ghost, I was going to put more of those Gotti traits. So the thing is that, you're going to get this story. So, because I know the question is coming. Why did it take you so long to have your first breeding?
Okay.
All right. And you're gonna find out why right now. So we're gonna put this out there. I made a video talking about it, but I made the video before I actually got the pop. I want to say I was less than 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So there came a time in 2021. 2021? All right, so 2021. Once I had got the idea that I was looking for a female to pair with Ghost to breed, we were really looking for females. So you're going to get the story, all right? So we were supposed to get a female off of BSK. The owner is Jerry Jimenez. It was Duchess bred to Alpine. Unfortunately, the female, I believe something happened while she was pregnant, produced a litter full of stillborns. They had to spay her. Things couldn't go down. So we ended up, God closed that door on us, right? A couple of weeks later, I want to say about a month or two later, I was on a bully group and I was looking for, hey, does anybody have some chocolate tribes, a lilac tribe breedings going down? And I was specifically looking for Sin City blood. So there was a kennel, I'm not going to say their name. They were recently involved in some stuff. Somebody said some stuff about it and posted the breeding that I was supposed to get the puppy from. So the breeding was Boulder Station bred to Coco. It was going to be, I believe it was 5 times Destiny, 4 times Bellagio. And I knew because of the titanium tank blood, knowing that that juice is behind Ghost, I knew if I got a puppy from that, it was going to click really, really, really well. So I ended up putting a deposit that day. I'm going to be honest with you, man. I looked at the Instagram account. The followers looked good. There was a website. Everything looked good. So a couple of months later, I'm like, hey, listen, man, when's the projected heat cycle? Just because I'm trying to make sure I got everything according to plan. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We're showing goals. My wife and I, we want to have a baby. So we have that going on, right? So I reach out to him, and the person doesn't reach back to me right away, right?
Ooh.
So I started getting my own suspicions about the dog because I never saw any new content of the female. The person had owned this girl named Coco, and she was badass. And the thing was I was like, how come you don't have no new pictures or videos on this girl? Hey, listen, man, can I see pictures? Can I see videos? Every time I did that, I was met with some backlash. Well, I've always given you this. I've always given you that. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like this. Okay, you know what, man? The person has my money. But the thing is, I wasn't stupid either. I sent it through PayPal, but I sent it as a business transaction. Not like I'm sending it to my buddies. The reason for that is because when I sent it through a PayPal, a business transaction, I had the opportunity to dispute it. God forbid something went south. So a couple of months later now, right? I reach out to him like, hey, what's going on? Blah, 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 blah. I still have no update. No update of the dog. Nothing. So at that point, I say, you know what, man? I got to really do my homework now. So I start going down the whole profile, going to post 1. And I look, and it was the same thing that I had noticed. Posting pictures of studs with their females, but never any litters off of those studs that were posted. And the person, I want to say, only had 2 litters at the time, photographed, 2 or 3. I don't remember right off the top of my head. And that's when I was like this, I am not giving any more money until my pick is confirmed and my pick is alive and well and right on the spot where I can see it. Because, man, I was getting a 3rd pick female for $6,000, 6-7 grand. I forget the exact number at the time. So it comes a point in time, I want to say August. I believe it was August. I get a text saying, oh, such and such is in heat. I said, okay, send me proof. Oh, you know, you got to send the next 1,500. You need to do this. You need to do that. I went like this. And he goes, you signed the contract? I said, respectfully, I have not gotten a new photograph or a new video of this dog. I am not giving you any money until I see that my puppy is here and she is alive and well. And I blanked out my information. I sent them the screenshot of my savings account. I said, the money's right here. I'll send it to you. But I need to make sure that my pick and my female is here on the ground. Because listen, man, I'm from the inner city. I grew up in Jersey City, New Jersey. I already know what the
You
hustle
already
is.
knew you were getting hustled.
I already knew what it
Yeah.
was. So I said, I'm not about to give you more money.
Right.
So the person said that I was at a breach of contract, that we're not refunding you the $1,000 deposit, blah, 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 and
Al,
all this
hold
other
on
stuff.
just 1 minute. This thing's about to hit an hour. It's going to shut off. So
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and stop it and then just jump. I'm going to jump right back on and we'll do part 2 and we'll continue the story. Got it?
That's on.
All right, guys, jump on. Give me about 2-3 minutes. Okay.
Right.
Back.
You hear me? You hear me? Damn, I couldn't hear you for a little bit, so I had to pop back out, get back on the live.
All right, everybody's starting to jump back on.
Yeah.
Let's continue the
Uh,
story. So you made the deposit. You put down a deposit. You can already feel the business. You feel this is going wrong.
yep.
You know what I'm saying? Just by you telling me the way it's going, I'm feeling it too. You
Yeah.
know. So now the man needs to pay up your money or needs to come up with the dog.
Tori, what's up, kid? What's good, my boy? My boy Tori Kendalls. I got a collab with him that I've kept in the cut. We're waiting to debut that at one time. So my bad. I see my boy in the chat. So what's
Right,
good, bro?
right on. What is it? Another XL breeding or what's happening there?
So earlier this year, I just dropped just a quick thing. So I had the opportunity to link up with him and my boy Dan in Virginia. And we, like I said, me and him and Dan, we really talk about the doors. Like, we're very passionate about this breed. We're very passionate about this juice, man. And we had the opportunity to talk about it in person. It's a hell of a video, but in that video we show some things that we couldn't debut at that time.
Okay.
So I told him, when you tell me it's go time, the video is ready. We're gonna drop that on YouTube because, man, we had a great time. Just the knowledge that we were both speaking from the breeding aspect, the traits, and all of these things, the history, man. We go into everything. When I tell you that I'm viewing this video and I'm hearing what he's saying, the knowledge that he's dropping, and it's like, man, this is content that I wish people would really, really, really see, man, because he's giving so much game that really helps you understand breeding, genetics, and this stuff, man. That meetup that we had with Tora and my man's Dan, that was something special, and I was able to record that whole conversation. But like
Ooh,
I
dope.
said, the thing is man, it was raining. We're in the middle of a freaking parking lot. I forget the name of the spot. Tora, put it in the comments, man, where we was at. We had a film because, listen, it was raining, but we made the best of it, you know. And that video was, man, it was insane. It was dope, man, and I cannot wait to put that video out to you guys because that coincides with the content that I wanted to put out going forward. Obviously, you know, I've talked about the behind the breeding, and I did this video last year with my man Dan Bruni talking about inside the mind of an XL American Bully breeder. And in that video, we talked a lot about the breedings that he had done, why he did the things that he did, and he really went into the knowledge of the breed and his back and the backstory of the dogs that he used. And that video did really, really, really well. So the fact that I knew that video did really, really well, I knew, hey, listen, man, what does the consumer want? Because the channel was supposed to be just showing my dogs and my family, and it turned into something where the videos that were doing good were videos talking about the breed, talking about the dogs that I love, evaluating them, and then these conversations with other breeders. So just by consumer and demand, that's just the route it went. So yeah, man, I had the opportunity to link up with him, and that was a hell of a time. But going back to the story, right? Because like I said, you understood where it was going, and I knew where it was going,
All
right?
right.
But the person told me that I was at a breach of contract, and guess what I did? I'm not stupid. I kept every message. I kept everything, screenshotted everything. I sent it to PayPal, and I had got lucky, man. I want to say, like 2 more weeks left before I could dispute the purchase, and it was done. And I was able to get my money back.
No,
PayPal sided with me, and I was able to get my money back. But because of that, I don't know who's watching this live or if you're a well-known breeder. I'm going to tell you this. The reason why, and this goes back to what I said earlier, the reason why I pride myself on professional type of content and I take my business so serious is because, first, we have to understand that as a breeder and as a business owner, our job is to attract clientele and to keep them. And the thing is when we're talking about customer service, being able to treat others with respect, being able to take care of their hard-earned money, because you got to understand, people work very hard for their money.
right.
This isn't free.
No.
And the thing is when you bring people into your breeding business, your program, you're bringing them into a family. So I pride myself on professional content, but I pride myself on being a professional at all times to where when I conversate with people, we really get the gist of what we want out there, and we really have a clear-cut understanding. That is exactly why I won't take deposits until pups are here. I won't do any of that. You want to know why? Because I know what it's like, and I know what it felt like being on the hook for almost $1,000 and almost getting hustled for my money. And the thing is that, listen, at the end of the day, people work extremely hard for their money, and I never want to put someone in that type of a position. So that's why I try to always hold myself on a very professional level, and I really do feel like that's something that could help me stand out. You get what I'm saying? So what I do is much more than just breeding, training dogs. It goes much more than that. I want people that buy a puppy off of my program to feel that they're becoming a part of a family. And I really do mean that. And I get it. Listen, business, opportunities, and all these other things, that plays a role. But the one thing that someone is never, ever going to be able to say about me is that I treated them like shit and I took their money, because I promise you I won't. Now, if people have a way about maybe my opinion on things, hey, listen, man, that's what makes this world so special. We can agree to disagree. That's just what comes with everything. But I promise you, that is exactly why I conduct myself the way I do, just because I know what it was like to get basically my money was getting played with.
Right.
And I didn't want that for other people. I didn't want any of that for them. So that's why I pride myself on doing things a very specific way. And this goes back to what I said before. How do I get a 10 to 18-year-old to view my content along with my target reach audience, right? But how do I get the 50 to 60-year-old to be able to watch one of my videos and stay on one of my videos? You got to understand that I'm thinking from a global aspect. It's not just in my immediate niche. I think about the totality of everything. So I want people that look at my stuff and go, man, I really like what that kid's doing. I really like his dogs. Look at the way he takes care of his clients. And I'm going to tell you this from a firsthand experience. The reason why it took me so long to get another female to pair up with Ghost was because after that experience, I only went to one person. I went right back to Dan Rooney from Rooney's Bulls because I trusted him. Yeah, you got to understand some people that some people might blow off or they try to hustle might be somebody like me. And the thing is it's like, all I want to do is do what's right for the breed and really improve it. And now you're messing with my money. And the thing is like, back then, I would tell you this, before I really got into the faith with the Lord and really fulfilling what I feel my purpose is. Before any of that, man, I used to hold resentment towards that. And I used to be like, wait, you'll see one day when I get older and this business really pops, you're going to see exactly what I was saying. You're going to feel that, hey, listen, man, I really messed up. But like I said, that was a couple of years ago. Now I'm a completely different person. I don't hold the resentment. I forgive it. It is what it is. I look at it like this, man, and it's going to sound like I'm preaching or I'm speaking wisdom. You don't take losses. There's only lessons to be learned. Those trials and tribulations are what help you become who you become ultimately. God has to test you. He has to really test your faith. He needs to bring out the best in you to prep you for the blessing, because he's not going to give it to you when you want it. You got to understand this. God will show you the vision, but there's a reason why he don't show you the journey. If he showed you the journey, you probably won't even attempt it. So I knew what I know now. Hey, listen, man, it was just, I had to go through something, and it helped me because now as a businessman, I know I won't do that. I know I'm not messing with nobody's money. So, like, listen, man, I've had these experiences that have really helped me in becoming who I'm becoming as a person right now. But to understand that there's another level that I want to take this to, and I'm grateful for the journey. Like I said, I tell people all the time, my content, I've worked hours, thousands of hours have went into editing, filming, and that's just my long form stuff. That's not even my short form content. Hours have went into everything. I haven't gotten paid a dime. I don't look for the money. You want to know why? Because it's all about pushing the breed forward. It's all about doing what's right for this breed. I love this breed so much. Y'all got to understand, man, when I lost my father, I was very hurt. My heart was hardened. I wasn't an empathetic man. I had lost all sympathy. I was very rough, man. And my dogs and my son, they helped bring me back. And the fact is that I give to my dogs what they gave to me, man. They changed my life. They got me back on track, man. And for that, I'm forever in debt to them. And that's why I work so hard between what I do. And that's why I work so hard with trying to push the breed forward and trying to really take it to the next level. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah, man, that's just the bare basic thing about me, and that's why, because of that experience, I say, you know what, I already know how I want to be when things start popping. You got to understand, man, when we're talking about motion and we're talking about people that have been successful in this field, people get into this thinking that, hey, listen, man, you're going to be in it for the short term and think you're going to make a quick bag. It doesn't work like that. You know, a lot goes into it. Taking care of these dogs, you know, making sure that you cover all of their expenses, dog food monthly, understanding that you have to interact with these dogs. You have to be active with them. You have to give them that lifestyle. They can't just stay in the home. What are you doing with those dogs? My dogs go out with me every morning. I'm hanging out with them. We're playing. We're training. We're doing a whole bunch of things. And this is just my lifestyle because I love it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the thing is like knowing what I know. Hey, listen, man, I haven't gotten paid a dime, but I know where I want to be and I know where I'm heading. So I say, you know what, man, I just put it all in God's hands. That's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? So it just is what it is, man. But yeah, that was that experience. And like I said, man, it's been a long time, but I am grateful, man. I am grateful for the whole journey, man, because, you know, yes, I wasn't able to get a puppy off that BSK breeding with Alpine the Duchess. Unfortunately, she had the stillborn. I was getting play with my money for this Boulder Station times Coco breeding. I didn't get it, but in the gist of it, I ended up getting a puppy off of Layla, Ghost Sister, who I love, and my man's Dan Rooney took her to Samson, who's my favorite dog. And I actually was going to use Samson at some point in my program. It just so happened to be when we were having the conversations, you know, when talking about XL and standard and trying to get XLs with tight, he said, man, what do you think about Layla to Samson? And I told him, I said, well, Layla's 22 inches at the withers, big girl. Samson's 18 inches at the withers. And we're talking about height, right? It's a common trend that I've noticed is that when you have a bigger female, the females are more inept to throw their height. So when we're talking about the Samson Layla breeding, Samson threw absolute bulls with that breeding. All four hit the height mark, and they are phenomenal. One's name is Boomer, one's name is Bruce Wayne. The other one, I forget his name, I believe is Byro, and my girl Chanel. And it just so happened to be that, hey, listen, I'm the one with the only female from the breeding. That now, when we pair with Ghost, we'll be line bred on ABKC Champion Titanium Tank with Samson up front. For those of you that are just joining, right? We were speaking about Dax before, and if you don't know anything about Samson's off of Santino. Santino is Louis V's son, who is Louis V's father, Dax. Okay, so the thing is that when we're talking about pairing Ghost and Chanel, all right, I knew what I wanted to do was I wanted to put more of that old school juice and those old school Gotti traits. Well, I also understand that I have half that side is with Grand Champion Techno and those dogs on his side, right? But I also understood that in the actual pedigree that I have between Ghost and Chanel, that is 3 times that we've had a standard bred to an XL done. So now that's why we have these bigger dogs with this type. You get what I'm saying? That's why Ghost has to look the way he has it. That's why Layla has to look the way she has it. And that's why the litter, when we went bullier, you know, when he went bullier and went with Samson, that's why the dogs look crazy. When we're talking about tight, when we're talking about headpiece, dome piece, with the substance, it was done. So the thing is like people told me that bullier traits could it be done on the taller frame. I said it absolutely could. People just weren't breeding for it. And it makes me so happy now that people are actually breeding towards that. So the thing is like now the XL class in the upcoming years will be taking a turn in a positive light because people got wind of it and have been breeding for those bullier traits. And that makes me happy, man, because I love the XL, man. And I used to tell people and they used to laugh at me. I said the baddest dog in the show ring, baddest dog in the show period, is a badass XL with the look that is consistent with the standard. You give me a 20 and a half, 21-inch dog with that juice similar to Samson, that is the most wow factor dog there. And people are going to look and go, holy smokes. And I used to say that, and people used to laugh at me. You're like, yeah, man, you don't know what you're talking about. I go like this, okay. All right, that's fine.
Yeah.
I said, that's fine. The thing is I already knew the breedings that were going down between Torah and Rooney's Bulls, so I know what they were pushing. And the thing is that they said exactly what they were going to do, and they did it. And the productions now, when you look at where they started, the productions now are looking really, really, really crazy. So I knew with my program that when I paired up Ghost of Chanel, I would be line breeding on Tank, and I love Tank. And now I got my favorite got my favorite dog, Samson, up front. We pull more of the Gotti juice, pull more of those Gotti traits. You get
But
what I'm saying?
okay, so now that you're going with this breeding, you're doing this line breeding.
Okay.
Which dogs in this pedigree are you wanting those traits to come out? Like what kind of dog are we structuring here?
So the goal is, right, so when you look at Titanium Tank's a absolutely wow factor dog. Thick neck, brolic shoulders, man. Thick headpiece, phenomenal.
Does he
Obviously,
look
Titanium.
more bully? Does he look more like a mastiff?
Oh man. Oh my God. Titanium Tank's old school Gotti blood. He's off of one drop bred to Gotti Line's Panthera. Panthera is a Black Ace daughter.
Okay.
So Panthera, yeah, Panthera is a Black Ace daughter. And the thing is, if you know anything about the Gotti school juice, when you look at those like She Devil, Black Ace, you look at Moo 21 Blackjack, forget the name of the other little mates from the iconic breeding. When you look at them, that's what's behind Ghost, those iconic dogs. Because you got to understand, Titanium Tank passed away a couple years ago. He was bred from a frozen straw. So Lucy was bred from a frozen semen. He's no longer with us. So we have that old school juice that now is up front, forward. And now what I'm doing is I'm taking that old school blood with that Gotti juice, and I'm pairing that up with Samson, who is that refined juice. So that's years, that's work, that's years of the evolution of that blood that now we're pairing together. The thing is that I know where it started. So Dax is off of Romeo, all right?
Right.
Dax is off of Romeo, and I believe his pops, Romeo's pops is Black Ace, if I'm not mistaken. So the thing is that that's where that juice comes from. You got to understand. So when I look at Dax, right, I look at Dax and I go like this. What did it take to create Dax? What did it take to create
Well, here's
him?
a
So,
question that
okay.
I since we're headed that way, right? Here's a question. There's a lot of I don't want to say controversy, but there has been about Dax actually coming from a bulldog.
Yeah.
Do you believe that, or do you believe the pedigree is 100% truthful?
You've heard me say them in my behind the breeding that's where the souls came from. When you look at it, goes deeper than Dax. When you look at Black Ace, Momo, 21 Blackjack, there's a reason why they line bred and they inbred on those dogs at
Okay.
some point, and to give it more juice. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that, hey, listen, they hung the paperwork on that breeding. I wasn't here, nor have I spoken with someone that has
Right.
um that was there in that time when that was going down. That's way before me.
Right.
But
Right.
it's common knowledge that at that point that was where the juice came in. And that is why they bred so tight on those dogs. Because obviously we look at the Gotti line and we see Juan Gotti. And obviously Juan Gotti was paired with these dogs that produced these offspring that gave them that foundation that now that they really worked with and they bred tightly on to pull those traits. So if you look at Black Ace, you look at Momo, they have some crazy juice in it. Now listen, I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, they hung the papers at
No,
some point. I think it's
I'm
I
just
think
asking.
it's
Do
common.
you believe they did?
So I believe at some point, I believe that those traits were pulled in from the bulldog. Because where are you going to get the bold fronts from?
Right.
You get what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
I believe that to my core, and that's why I tell people when we're talking about the American Bully overall, right? You have to understand the breeds that were behind the dog. All right. So originally, as all of you know, and I've said this in my videos, when you look at the dogs from back then, you talk about the Staffordshire Terrier, whatever the case is.
Uh-huh.
bred to the pit bull, and what they call is that they wanted to make bullier pit bulls.
Right.
At least that's what Dave Wilson said in one of his interviews. And at some point, the look changed. The look
Right.
just the look just so happened to be that it had more of the bulldog traits
Right.
at some point. And the thing is listen, man, we call it spade a spade. The traits
Right.
are the traits.
Straight to the
And the
trade.
thing is that you the traits are the traits, and you have to understand, well, to get to the dogs that we have now, they have those bulldog, what they call bullier
Right.
traits. Okay?
They evolve and yep. It has.
Okay. So what happens if you line breed on terrier traits? You're gonna pull terrier
Right.
traits. If you line breed on mastiff traits, you're
Beautiful.
gonna pull mastiff
Mhm.
traits. But if I breed on bully traits, I'm always gonna keep bully traits. And the thing is that you have to understand. That's why when they tell you when you go tighter on the blood, you lose the height. They get shorter. That's why sometimes you get those dogs like I believe it was Muscle Tone has one that's like 12 inches now. That's insane. I forget the dog's name. And so like that's a common thing. When you get tighter, they get a little bit shorter. But the thing is that when you look at these dogs, they at some point the at some point those that breed was brought in to give it the juice. You get what I'm saying? And the thing is, you got to understand, like, that's the Gotti sauce. You know, at some point when you look at that time, you have Razor's Edge, you have Gotti, you know, don't forget Gray Line, GK Blood, all these other things, right? At back then. And the thing is that they had certain traits that helped them stand apart. And as all of you know, it's a common thing, and I'm not just speaking out of my ass. People understand this. Gotti dogs were known to have crazy traits, crazy dome piece, that crest in the neck, that wow factor look, but they weren't as clean conformationally.
Right.
When you look at a Razor's Edge dog, you had the look, but you had clean ass conformation.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So the thing is like when you look at Cairo, Little Cairo, like one of my favorite dogs. You know what I mean? When you look at some of my personal favorite, from the Edge line, Pokemon. I love that dog. I absolutely love that dog. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And those are just some of the dogs that off the top. But when you look at them, comparing, you got to look objectively. Don't look through a lens of being biased. Look at the dogs and look at the dogs from this line. How did you get this? Where's the difference? You get what I'm saying? And then at some point, Dave Wilson, he used Magoo in his spot with his dogs, created Demon Boy. Right. And we know how Demon Boy turned out. All right? So at some point, like, this juice was brought in, and that's what eventually you got to where we're at right now with these dogs that have this substance, that have this look and these traits. And the thing is like, like I said before, if you keep pairing terrier with terrier traits, you're gonna get what you get. If you keep pairing bully traits with bully traits, you're gonna get what you're gonna get. If you keep breeding and you use massive traits with massive traits, you're gonna pull those traits. So, like I said, that goes into what I was doing. What I'm doing with my program, I said, I know what I need, and I know what I have to build with. So going back to now when we're talking about Dax and stuff, I knew that.
Right.
My bad.
Right here, we got a question, okay. and it's right where the cusp where you're at, right?
Okay.
Because you're going back.
Okay.
You're almost preserving the genetics you have.
Yes.
The question is, what's your opinions on breeders who are trying to preserve the older look, like Blue Line or Paco Line? I think what it means is, what do you think about breeders that are preserving the old school genetics, the first generations of these?
So I'm gonna give you my honest answer. Mm-hmm. My honest answer is they're breeders. You breed what the hell you like. You breed what you want and what you desire with your program. You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
And if you felt that you've achieved your look within your vision, then that's your vision of the breed.
Right.
And the thing is that someone that's where we have controversy, right? Because controversy is, I'm looking at this dog from this lens, you're looking at this dog from this lens, and if it doesn't fit within that person's vision, then people get upset and make a comment about it. But the thing is, you have to understand when we're talking about Blue Line, Paco Line, and those dogs, you got to understand that when they got to their vision of their dogs and they really felt like they had that sauce and they got their look, then you've gotten there. You know, unfortunately for me, I got to start something from the ground, man. I gotta start it from the
No,
ground, bro. You know what I mean?
and I get that, but if right now, like if I'm looking at Nolan's question, I mean,
Okay.
I think the answer to Nolan's question is, shouldn't every yard have the same look if we're all the same breed?
Yeah.
I don't think we're there
I
as a
I
breed.
I, I don't think we're there. But
I don't think
in
we're there, but
essence,
I
in
think we might be very close to honing down the genetic
yes.
and spending the next 30, 40 years um, trying to, or whatever, how long it is, to
I
uniform the look. But right now, I don't
so
think we are there.
so I would say this. At what point do we say we have enough substance on the dog to refine it?
Exactly.
So so
Exactly.
so 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 that's the bigger question. At what point do we say this is the exact mass? Now we can refine the look over time. You get what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
See, and that goes right here with Nolan again, right? He says 40 years into the breed, and we need to start honing. We need to start funneling the breed into one direction, and it's true. If because right now everybody needs to understand, like what we're trying to say is if you look at every other breed, German Shepherds, for example, German Shepherds.
Mm-hmm.
If Alex is breeding German Shepherds, I'm breeding German Shepherds, Nolan's breeding German Shepherds, somehow, some way, they're all going to be uniform.
Yes.
Somehow, some way, there's only going to be very little variances because we might have
Yep.
been using maybe just a little bit different
That
bloodline.
and and that goes back to what I told you earlier about when you go to a UKC show, when you look at the other breeds in the ring, they're damn near identical.
Exactly.
When you see the two dogs, they're identical.
And
And in my opinion, we have not
no,
reached that
no,
point in American Bully where
right.
it's so refined that we have the look and the
But
confirmation.
when
But
when
I
is
will.
it? When is it? Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off like that, but no,
Go ahead.
you got me on a good one. It's when is it though? Um, when are we gonna say as registries, right? That's another thing. This breed doesn't have a breed club. It doesn't have
Yes.
like a like breeders at a council, making the decisions for everybody, under them.
Mm-hmm.
But my point is exactly like, and I think you're going a great way with the XL,
Yes.
right? If you're taking it out of the Mastiff look, then yes, let's start bringing it in back in. Like how
Yeah.
you went with National Breed Club is needed. Yep, and it's true.
Yep.
But if you start
I agree.
if you start to go the direction, right? If you're taking the XL to that direction where it can look just like, a 21-inch bully. That's
Yes.
it. That's it,
Yes.
right? Like,
That's the goal, man.
that's the
That's the
goal.
goal. That's the goal, man. I
And,
want
and,
people to look
and
at
you
my
think
dogs and be
and
like,
you're
"Holy
thinking that
smokes,
this blood that you're gonna be it's line bred, right? You're line
line bred,
breeding.
line
You,
breeding on ABKC champion. I'm breeding on the line bred ABKC champion titanium tank times Lucy blood." So if we get into a little bit more detail, because I explain it more in my series called
right.
Behind the Breeding, and I talk about what the common thing was. So the common theme of the ABKC champion titanium tank litter bred to Lucy was simply that those dogs, like I said, some dogs got more type than others, but there was one thing that's still common: clean conformation with all dogs in that litter. So when I line bred on that, the line breeding was pairing up Ghost and Layla in one pedigree. All right. So I need you to understand this. If you start really getting into the depths of breeding, you can have litter mates. Each dog has a different genetic coding sequence. That's what makes them so special. That's why you can have dogs that have this look and have this look, or that's why a female could produce this look when they're bred, but a sister could throw a different look. It just really depends. Each dog has their own different sets of genetics, right? So the thing is that my thing is this is how I look at it. I look at the dogs behind them, but I looked at what that litter threw, and I said, you know what, man? When we pair two of the best dogs in this breeding, right? They're both got in line off for the champion titanium tank breeding to Lucy. Now we bring in Chanel, who is off of Layla. bred to Grand Champion Samson. We bring that up front. We're line breeding. So you got to understand, I'm not just line breeding on the ABKC Champion Titanium Tank dog. I'm line breeding on the ABKC Champion Titanium Tank Time Lucy breeding. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get that clean confirmation with that height, with more of that substance with Samson to give me pillar one of what I'm looking for. Because you got to understand, this is just pillar one. This isn't where I want to be. This is just pillar one.
This is
And the thing is, this
yeah.
is pillar one. The thing is, they go more into that. Like the reason why I wanted something off of Samson is that I had noticed a common thing with the Samson daughters having drive, having great grips when they were gripping onto toys. You got to understand. So now that plays into what we're looking for. I'm not just looking for a dog with a look. I'm looking for a complete dog. And when I mean by a complete dog, I'm talking about traits. I'm talking about confirmation. I'm talking about movement, functionality, but I'm talking about drive and I'm talking about temperament. The reason for this, like if you were following me earlier, this conversation, like I said, my thing is training. I love training dogs. So I knew specifically that I needed something off of Samson because his females had great drive. And I knew that the females were passing on their drive to their offspring. That was the common trend that I had saw. So the thing is if for those of you that are watching, if you're getting into like training your dogs and stuff, understand that a dog with high energy, those are the easiest dogs to train. But the thing that I had noticed was that this dog, these females of the Samson weren't just high energy, they were very smart. And the thing is with Ghost isn't as crisp as I would like him with his obedience training. He's not as crisp as I would like with his ability to be crisp and precise into those movements. Chanel is. So now what I'm looking to do is I'm looking to pull a son and a daughter that have the combination with the smartness and the traits, right? With the height, but now have that balanced temperament that I'm looking for. And that's pillar one. See, the thing is, like I said, I'm not sitting here saying that I want my dogs to be an IGP game in the Schützen. For those of you that don't know, those are those dogs that do phenomenal work. If you see those German Shepherds, they throw the dumbbell and they go and they retrieve it and all that other stuff. I'm not sitting here saying I want my dogs to do that. I know what the capabilities of the American Bully are. But when I tell you I want my dogs to be able to protect the home and have a personal protection work, absolutely. Do I want my dogs to be able to sled pull? Absolutely. That's the goal. But the thing is, right, you got to look at it from here. You got to look at it through my lens and how I'm looking at it, right? When you see these pockets, right, and these shorter standards, you ever notice, well, let's say mainly the pockets, you got all of this juice stored on this dog, right? But when you have all of this juice stored on this dog, right, you notice that the functionality starts not being as crisp as you would like it to be. You get what I'm saying? And the thing is, if these dogs are shorter, smaller, they can't move, so they're restricted. But you know what? In my opinion, what would help that? Longer limbs. That's why you can have taller standards and shorter XLs that can keep that movement and keep that juice, in my opinion. And the thing is like, if I can get that, then I know I can get something with what I am looking for. And the thing is, I've trained Ghost in protection work from my home. So I know what he can do. But now you got to understand, because this goes more than just breeding for traits. This is, I got to make him smarter. I have to make him better. And I have to pull this juice into pillar one. So you got to understand, I'm looking for the traits, but I'm looking to keep the drive and the smartness. That's why, like now, when looking at outsources and stuff for my program, I'm specifically looking at dogs in person. I need to go see them. I don't care where they are. I got to see them. The reason for this, I have to evaluate the dog. I have to see how crisp you respond to me. Do you have anxiety? I need to see if you're a fear biter. I need to see how you are around distractions. I need to see those things because that's what's going to help me make my program better. So it's a lot that I'm asking for. But the thing is if you build it up one step at a time and you do it very strategically, I know sometime in the future that it can happen. Now, is it going to happen right away? Probably not. But the thing is, I know that this breeding would give me pillar one. You get what I'm saying? And that's what I'm looking for is pillar one. And knowing the dogs that are behind Ghost and Layla and the dogs that are behind Chanel, I know I'm preserving that old school gaudy look blood up front. And the hope is like I said in my video, is to get a wider version of Ghost, because I feel like that width and that wide rib cage, that gives you the frame to be able to store the mass and the juice and the muscle. Chanel has that tighter skin. So now we're going to bring in that tighter skin on Ghost. They complement each other, right? Ghost has that big blocky head. He has a 3-finger muzzle, slightly over, not bad. Nice thick top skull, has the apple cheeks. Chanel has a great top skull, smash muzzle, 2 fingers at 2-finger length, 90-degree stop. But she also has a very slight overbite, underbite. I mean, so but her head shape is incredible. Now I know when I pair these two up, now we're trying to perfect it. We're trying to get that those traits to become either further more pronounced, which is what happens with that blood. Get that, tighten up that muzzle, get that perfect scissor bite. They both have open nares. For those of you that talk about breathing issues with the breed, understand that nares play the biggest role in the dog's ability to be able to breathe properly. You need to have open nares. They both have open nares. So the thing is, it's like now we're working on the refinements, right? So Ghost, he has cat-like paws, good bone, but he's out front. The thing is, if you know anything, if you have a dog with cat-like paws and their shoulder set's a little bit out, they're a little bit restricted in their movement when they're reaching in their gait. So I know that I needed to get that chest drop to come further out, set those shoulders a little bit back, keep those straight paws. Now with Chanel, Chanel has that beautiful extension. When she got the full extension, she has that chest drop going into those shoulders, clean paws. So now I know what I needed. So the thing is like they complement one another. You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
So Chanel is slight roach. Ghost has a great top line. So now we're working on refining that top line. Ghost is a little stiff in the stifle. In my opinion, needs more angulation. Chanel, great rear drive when she moves. Great angulation. So now you see how we're talking about? Now we're talking about combining, because like it just so happened to be that hey, listen, they complement one another. So now we're trying to refine all of this, like I said, for pillar one. And unfortunately, it took us this long to get to this point. In an ideal world, we would have had our first breeding probably about a year or so ago, but that's not the cards that God dealt with us. You get what I'm saying? What do y'all think needs done to correct the ever-growing of rear assembly issues within the breed? If you ask me personally, when it comes to the rear assembly issues with this breed, you need to breed for a strong hip set and a strong rear. The drive off the rear is the most important thing, because usually when you have a strong hip set, and I had a conversation with a vet about this, they told me that if you struggle with dogs that have CCL injuries, right, it's primarily because they're not as strong in that hip set, and they don't have like those nice angulation in the stifles. What you need is to breed for a stronger hip set. The stronger hip set gets away from that, so you have to have when the dog is running, you can see how they move in that rear. I listen. I talk about him all the time. But man, Grand Champion Hank, man, when you see that boy move in the fucking rear, he is a badass dog. When you see that movement, he's powering off that rear. That's what you need, because when you have that, that ultimately bleeds into the healthier hip set. You get what I'm saying? Now listen. I'm only specifically talking about standard to XLs. With pockets, I already know people have went crazy, and we have weaker hips. That's the nicest way that I can say it.
Yeah.
But the thing is that I don't know. I'm not in the pocket community. I know enough where I know what it took to get to those dogs, but I don't know how those dogs were bred to be able to get that way. The thing is
A lot
like
of
you need to see
bulldogs.
something, and you need to fix it. You get what I'm saying? But when it comes to rear, man, I spoke with a vet, and the specifics was you need to have a healthier hip set. That hip set is so important, because that bleeds to the totality of the health for the rear long term. You get what I'm saying? I agree. You got to have a strong rear, even in pockets. Yeah, the rear is everything, man. And Ghost had a good rear, nice leg muscle, but Chanel has the juice in the rear. So like just by default, it complements one another. It just so happens to be that they're getting line bred on, like I said, the ABKC Champion Titanium Tank times Lucy breeding. But yeah, man, that's just like a simple version of that breeding and why I went the route that I did with my dogs, man. But that's, like I said, that's goal one. At the end of the day, I know where I want to be in the American Bully community. Obviously, some people's journeys take much longer than others.
Right.
Listen, man, Bashar Khan, is that his name? Provoking Style Bullies. Cat from Bossy Kennels. I'm trying to think about who else. some of these bigger name camps, man, you didn't get that overnight, man. That takes time, that takes work, and sometimes you catch a break or two in between, and that's just how it is. But the way I try to run my program, the way I look at it is I try to conduct myself like I'm on that level right now. Do I know I'm there? Yeah, I know I'm not there, but I'm gonna continue to grind like that because I know where the vision is. I know where I want to go, And the thing is like I'm trying to do what's right by the community, and I try to really push the breed forward. People think I'm just BSing. I mean that wholeheartedly, man. If we want to push the breed forward, we have to really do our due diligence on spreading that knowledge. Because the thing is, if you think about it from just a logistic standpoint, yes, we have a percentage of breeders that have been here for a long time, but how much of a percentage do you think that realistically is? Most people, like a greater percentage of the community, are people that have just got in and are like one or two breedings in, or they're newer and they want to breed. And the thing is, when you think about it from those logistics and that aspect, if they're new, just like me, I didn't know what I was getting into. You don't know. You breed two dogs, and now you I'm not saying unhardly, I'm not trying to be rude, but you might have produced some dogs that maybe set the breed back. Now, what if we gave you the foundation and we gave you the information? Maybe you found a platform that educated you on the breed, and now you're like, holy smokes, now I know what to look for. Because the thing is, right, I could put my content out and people could disagree, whatever the case is. My goal at the end of the day is to have the consumer, the person watching it, look at my content and say, hey, you know what? I kind of understand where he's going. And if I like this type of look on a dog, you know what? I'm going to go with this dog. So if you like Razor's Edge, hey, you know what? Who has the Razor's Edge blood? Who's refined it over time? And get a dog off that. If you like the Gotti School juice and you like those type of dogs, then go after someone who's using the Gotti blood. You get what I'm saying? Because ultimately, when you breed and you pair your dogs together, now you have something that now puts you in a position to push the breed forward. There was a saying I've heard from someone that made a ton of sense, man. They always say it's better to start as close to the top as you can, picking the best dogs that you can, so that you can set your program off right off the rip with a very good quality litter. Because the thing is if you're always trying to breed for and you start off with the bare basics and you try to grow, you just set yourself back trying to get to that phase one that you would have just got to if you would have got those first two dogs and you invested your money in it. And the thing is like I look at it from an overall aspect, right? We look at it from a business end, we look at it from a pet owner's end, and you look at it from a trainer's end. And then I also look at it from the content creating side. And I know the type of look that I wanted. I know where I wanted to go. And like I said, God really placed some really good people in my life that, I'm not going to lie to you, man, they really, really helped me. I'm not where I'm at today without my man's Dan Rooney, without my man's Torah. I'm not here without them. And I even include Fred Durant in that, man. They really helped me out starting off, really gave me some information, man. And like I said, man, from there, I do my own research. I evaluate my own dogs. Now, once I start getting into the breeding thing, now I'm like, oh, man, I really want to pull this out. And I'll just say this before we move on. You asked before, right? About you said some nice words about my dog Ghost. You said, hey, he definitely looks like a bully, like he has the traits. And that's basically how it came about. When I went to show him in his first show, he did phenomenal in his first show. Won all 4 events, best excel, and he was competing for best of best of winners in all 4 shows.
Yeah.
We opted out to showing and shows 3 and 4 because we had to go. We were there all day, but we showed them best of winners for shows 1 and 2. And Ghost had a phenomenal showing, man. He's phenomenal. And I forget the name of the judge. Well, I won't say I forget the name. I'm just not going to say his name. It was showed, I believe it was 2. After I'm done showing him, he comes up to me. He's like, hey, man, do you know what you have here? And I said, I don't know, man. I'm new. It's my first show, bro. I'm trying to whole time I'm prepping Ghost just to be able to show well, not be distracted by the environment, just go time, let's go. Like I said, Ghost is the first, so like he is the rough draft of where I started. So I was never really at that point really in that with, you know, pedigrees and all that other stuff. You know what I mean? I knew what the desired look that I was looking for, and I had did my homework, but I wasn't like how I'm not obsessed with it the way I am now. That's the best way I can explain it. So at the time, I'm like, no, I don't know what I got here. I know he's a nice dog, but I really don't know what I have. And he goes, listen, I'm gonna tell you this: your dog is in the 1% of the XL class. I told him, I said, really? He goes, when it comes to traits, the conformation, the totality of your dog, his movement, he goes, man, this dog, he goes, he's in the 1%. You need to bring him back when he's fully matured.
Right.
Told me straight up like that. Bring him back when he's fully matured. You got to get him in the ring. It
Nice.
just so happened to be that, you know, we had some things happen, and now Ghost, he's the best he's ever looked now. But we're at that point where now we're focusing on his puppies. We're focusing on that next transition. So, you know, unfortunately, we never really got a chance to really go forward and showing him in champion class. But the thing is like, man, it's so busy, bro. We only get a couple of shows down here in where I'm at in Jersey. I got to go out to Allentown, and if they're not happening in Allentown, I want to say I only get 3 cracks in champion class in the stat class. You know, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And the thing is that you're asking for a lot in these champion classes out here. I don't know how it is on the West Coast,
Oh, it's tough.
but the thing is
Hardest
on the
class.
East Club, bro, every champion class that we've had, I ain't even gonna lie, bro, we're showing against 13, 14, 15, 16 dogs in the ring.
Yep.
You know
Yep.
what I mean?
Yep. I know
So
exactly what you mean.
so every time that Ghost is in the ring when he was a little bit younger, that's what we're dealing with. And those dogs are phenomenal. But the thing is like I became a father, I'm married, I create content. So I have my other dogs. Now I'm focusing on the brand and all these other things. So there's a lot that comes into it. You get what I'm
Right.
saying? It's not as like, oh, I just stopped and it's like I don't love the ABKC shows, or like I'm bitter that my dog lost. No, it's like I love going there because it's the only spot where I go to a show and I feel like I'm home. Y'all gotta understand, man. When I go to these shows and I'm around these dogs, man, it makes me so happy that I'm around people that genuinely love the breed the same way that I love the breed, you know? And I love creating for these dogs. So it just so happened to be that life, you know, life takes over, man. And I wasn't able to keep showing Ghosts, and I was supposed to show Chanel in January, but she was coming on her heat cycle. So the way it's looking is like, it just so happened to be that, hey, listen, I haven't been able to show it in a while. But man, when I come out and I go to the ABKT shows, it's all love, man. And for those of you that know me, you watch my content, I create for dogs as well, man. I like putting stuff together. So yeah, man. That's in a nutshell, that's what it is. Sorry, that was a long ass story.
No, no, no. It most definitely hit exactly what we're talking about here. But going forward, and you got this breeding. When do you expect this breeding to happen?
So Chanel went down for 2 TCIs. Going on 3 weeks. April 5th, we go for confirmation.
Oh,
And then from there,
it already
it's just a
happened.
waiting game. It already happened, man.
Already
It
happened.
already happened. Yeah, it's so I kept it on the wraps. I actually did a whole video behind the scenes um of that breeding because it was a really big thing for us. But it's just a vlog documenting the whole journey, you know, us bringing her in. I was able to get some clips of her and Ghost. Not a lot off my phone because I was the one there, you know, trying to make it happen, you know, but it was dope, man. I am for sure grateful, man. Hey, shout out to Old Pro Kennels East Coast, man. I really appreciate it, bro. Listen, man, if y'all don't know, I'll tell you this, and I told him this, and he knows this for a fact. First off, I love what Old Pro Kennels is doing. For those of you that don't know, Grand Champion Dream is simply incredible. She
Yeah.
is amazing. Ask the daughter,
Yeah.
right? And he also has Venom I forget the other dogs that the names off the top of my head. Amazing. Dog XL's a breed type. They have it. All Pro Kennels. All right. All Pro Kennels East Coast, he has a dog named Bowser. I told this man when I first saw him at 9 months, this dog is different. Bowser is a phenomenal XL. When we're talking about substance, when you're talking about headpiece, shoulder set, muscle, when you woo-wee, that boy, he's the real deal. He's the real deal. And yeah, man, I told him from the rip. He, I say even say it on the live, that boy's badass. And like I said, that's what makes me happy when you start seeing the XLs going forward, and you start seeing the trajectory of the breed, and you really start seeing how these dogs are improving, man. When you're talking about breeding to breeding, generation to generation, we're starting to slowly get there. You get what I'm saying? And it makes me very happy. It makes me very happy, man.
I remember when I interviewed Rolando Mata, and I asked him.
Yes.
I said, you never heard of an XL winning nationals. Right? Of course, there's going to be XLs that win national in their own class, but up to that, they don't go further than that.
Yeah.
And I asked him, do you think it's because they don't carry the traits for the breed? And he says, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
That these dogs, so if you're taking it that way, well, hopefully one day, pretty soon down the line, we can see a national winner.
Bro, I would tell you this, man. The goal of my program and the longevity of it is to produce an XL that could compete at a super high level in the show ring at nationals. And we're not talking about just the class. We're talking about when you see the dog in grand champion class, he looked like he belonged, and holy smokes, that boy is bad. That's what we're looking for in my program. But obviously that takes time to get there. That's refining the look. And it's when I feel is ready. A lot of people just go in and put their dogs in and they just do what they got to do. For me, it's like, nah, I got to look at the dog. Because I know what I'm looking at. And I always look at it from the judge's opinion. So there's the thing, right? When I look at my dogs, I don't look at it from, oh, yeah, that's my. Now I'm looking at them like, what's he got?
Yeah.
What's he missing? What's he got? And I'm not to say it's not to say I'm being harsh on my dogs, but you really have to do a very in-depth evaluation of your dogs, because that's what the judge is going to do with your dogs in the ring. I need to know beforehand what my dog has and what he doesn't have, or what she has and what she doesn't have, and before the judge even tells me, I already know. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So I have to look at it through their lens. So
you have to, because that's the game you're playing.
Yes. So that's why, like, when it comes to like kennel blindness and the other things, like these terms that they speak about, in order for you to really push the breed forward, you have to really do an understanding of what you have, what traits your dogs have. How do we push them forward? How do we improve upon this? How do we get closer to the standard, right? How do we get this juice? How do we get this sauce? These are things that you really need to think about when you have these dogs, and that's why, like, for me, I'm not saying that I want to get my productions in there right away, but when I look at my productions, I'm looking at them through a lens of, yeah, let's see what we got, because now I need to see what else do I need. See, like, there's so many layers, man. I don't want to get into the full vision of my program. You obviously you see the type of dog that I want, but I haven't named the dogs that I'm going to be using in the future. But the thing is that when I look at combining these dogs, man, I'm looking for a very specific look, but I'm not trying to compromise the functionality. And that's the biggest thing. Yes, I love the sauce, but I love me a working dog that can move as well.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Totally get what you're saying.
All Pro Kennels East Coast, man. You located in Jersey, you know what's going on, brother, man. You want to let's get it. Let's do it. I would love to sit down, chop it up with you, chop it up about Bowser. Get Bowser under the lens. That'll be really, really dope, man. I think that would make for great content. Let's set that up. Let's set that up. Sometimes when it get a little bit warmer outside, let's set that up, man. It'll be really, really dope.
Nice. Well, guys, we're about to hit the second hour. We're about to finish it. I'm gonna go ahead and I have to close this up because I gotta go. And
it's all good, brother,
business.
Man. I appreciate you for giving me the platform, man.
Hey, Alex,
appreciate it. Thank you so much.
This was a good one. Would you do a part 2?
Absolutely, man. I'm here. let's make this work,
I
man.
do. I,
Anything to push the breed forward, man. I'm
I,
with
I
it, man. I'm
I say
so grateful, man.
let's see what happens with this breeding. Let's give your
Yes.
pups about 6 months, maybe towards the end of the year, and let's
Yep.
evaluate if these things hit the
Go.
mark.
That's the hope, man. Us as breeders, you can stack up the probability in your favor. You understand that there's risk, and you
Right,
understand with genetics, it could pull anywhere.
right,
But with every great breed, there was some risk. But the thing is you want to calculate that risk, and you want to move it forward, man. And the thing is this is very strategically paired. This has been years in the making, but we also hope that at the end of the day, man, genetics are the wild card. I'll say this, man, we can stack the genetics in our favor,
right,
but sometimes it may not click the way it has. The thing is, this formula has, not that it's been done to this extent, but when you combine dogs of similar blood, before it usually clicks. The thing is now we're at a point where it's like, hey, listen, this, this is, we're asking something that's relatively new, modernized version of the blood that we're using, to go with this. How does this click? Because in my opinion, I don't believe that's been done yet. I don't believe it's been done in essence. Dan Rooney did it first with Samson and Layla, and the productions clicked hard. But no one has line bred on titanium tank with Samson up front, and we'll be having that as our first breeding. And I can't wait, man. I can't wait.
right
It's
on.
gonna be listen, man, we just leave it in God's hands, bro. If she takes, she takes. If she don't, man, we get back on the horse and we do it again. That's just what it is, man. You know what I mean?
Nah,
But thank you so much for giving me the platform. I truly mean that, man. It really means the world to me that you took some time out. Because listen, man, I'm a nobody, and I'll be honest with you. I'm a nobody compared to everybody else that's been in this game for some time. I'm just a kid, well, a dude with a vision that loves dogs, that just trying to make it happen. And I'm trying to make it happen, man. And I'm just so grateful that you gave me the opportunity to be able to come out here and speak with you, man. Truly mean
appreciate
it.
it. I appreciate it.
Thank you, brother,
I
man.
got my I got my goals, brother. I want to hit 200, 250. Actually, I want to hit 100 first. We're on our way.
Yeah,
100 shows.
yeah,
So,
yeah. We're there.
so I'm gonna go ahead and close it up. I appreciate it, Alex. I really do.
Have a good one, bro.
All right, guys. This is
Appreciate you.
Bullies and Breeders, episode 34. I'm with Alex from Heavy Hitters. I would most
Yes, sir.
definitely go back and listen to this one, and kind of gives you an idea on how to structure your breedings. So,
Yes.
most definitely, I want to give a shout out to my sponsors. It's Canada Drop, Top Dog Canada Drops with Michael Mata, and Cholo Stackers. You need your stack box, get with Cholo Stackers. All right, guys, this has been Bullies and Breeders. Thank you. We'll see you next week. We got Xbox Stan Smith. You guys, get on there. We're gonna be talking about
Yo,
dog's anatomy.
that's a good dude right there.
Right
Stan
on.
Smith's a really good dude.
Uh,
Love his product, man. X Dog, get with it, man. I'm telling you,
And then,
phenomenal.
and then starting next month in April, guys, we got Sergio from Crossfires. We got a very, very, very. She's a veteran. Started with the Amstabs. That's Tiffany Saul. We also have Chris with the Icon Dog exhibit, and I got some other ones. Just waiting to them to confirm, and we'll get this thing cracking. All right, guys. Thank you
Absolutely.
so
Hey,
much.
before you exit, just to let all of you know in the comments, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be saving these lives and I'm going to be posting it to my YouTube channel. I'm going to put my man's information. We're going to continuously try to push this. I'm going to take this live and I'm going to chop it up into shorts and
You
I'm
got
going to
it.
post it. We're going to collab on it. We continuously push this and it'll be really, really dope from a
Got
networking opportunity, but just to be able to grow the platform and to be able to take it to the next level. And I'm gonna end with this, because I know I said that before, but for real, like I said, with what I got going on, called Behind the Breeding, I'm looking to collab with people that have produced iconic dogs or in the process of making something that's amazing.
it.
Reach out to me, because the goal of that